Yeah, man. You remember that time?
Yes.
Yeah. That we were like learning how to box, you know, and we're like went out to the property and we're like, okay, let's set a timer for like what was it, like a minute to see if we can like box this whole minute. Do you remember what gloves we put on?
I think there were some good 16-ounce Everlast red ones.
I got the gloves right here that we put on.
Oh, really?
Let me go ahead and get them, all right?
All right, let's see them, bro.
Because I want to show them.
It's been a while, dude. I thought I might have one or two around here, dude, but can't see anything. Dude. Yo, man, he beat the shit out of me. Gave me a concussion. Left me bloody to a pulp. You remember where we went, bro? Do you remember where we went after Do you remember where we went after we fought, dude?
No, where'd we go?
We went to Wendy's, dude, and my shirt was covered in blood. They were like, what the hell? Like two bacon cheeseburgers.
The old-fashioned, like, red Everlast ones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you, I know that you know this, but everybody can see that right there.
Oh, yeah, that's Muhammad Ali. Those aren't the ones we used, bro.
Yeah, dude, it was.
I know
we used a Muhammad Ali set and the other set.
No, you know why?
Why?
Because we bought them brand new. We went and bought.
Did we?
We bought 4 gloves. We bought 2 red helmets, dude. And yeah, we didn't box in Muhammad Ali gloves, bro.
I've been telling everybody I boxed in Muhammad Ali gloves, and everybody's been impressed. Oh, fuck well.
Well, I'm not saying you didn't punch me with a Muhammad Ali glove when I wasn't looking or something. Like wham,
man.
Like
everybody that's listening, there's something you need to know about Mark and I. All right. Mark and I, we're best friends now, like hands down. There's no doubt about it. But when we were growing up, there was a rivalry between Mark and I. We are both the middle children. And, there's times that we look back and we're just like, what the fuck? I mean, we're just mean to each other. We can put it any other way. But the reality is that we were in competition and we just constantly really just were assholes to each other. So it's kind of crazy that we do a podcast now together, but
I want to tell this little story, dude. This is a rock that I got from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I used to go swimming in these waterfalls that were like big pools, and I swam down to the bottom of the waterfall, and I found this rock, and it had been sitting there probably for like a millennium, just turning over. It's like the softest rock you ever felt, dude, because it just
that's
got
awesome.
All the edges worn off. I think that's kind of like our friendship, bro. Like early on, we wore off all of the edges from each other, and now it's like, all right, yeah. Sometimes we get pissed off at each other, but in the end, dude, it's like we've worn each other out through that tumbling process all the years. You know what I mean?
It all changed, man. It all changed one night when we took some shrooms, man. You know, and like we realized that life wasn't as bad as we thought it was.
Yeah, dude. You remember how like the other day we got our podcast taken off because we talked about illicit drugs, dude?
Shit, man.
It was that one that starts with a C and ends up with a O-ain.
Yeah. O-ain.
I can't even say it, dude. Like somehow the censors have fucked my head up, and
dude. But listen,
as soon as I get close, it just
I live in a state that's legal, so everybody can fuck off.
Cocaine's legal?
No. Shrooms, mushrooms.
Okay.
Mushrooms are legal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't fuck with cocaine, bro.
One of the things that happened was our new podcast. We had to get a new name for it because apparently it was we got flagged. Are we going to restart this one now?
Do we have to restart this one?
No, we're just going to talk about it. No, we're just going to go with it.
We didn't talk about taking
stuff.
We
didn't do any of the things.
None of that stuff.
But we got our no bullshit or our bullshit in sports, whatever we were calling it, bro. That channel got flagged as being offensive. And
we were not very offensive at all.
Yeah, and so as I thought about it, I was like, my nephew used to always say no offense right before he said the most offensive things, and somehow he'd get away with it. And I'd always be like, dude, you can't do that. It ain't right. So
it's so funny.
I figured we'd try it, bro. We just throw up no offense sports and see if we could get away with saying anything we wanted under the umbrella of no offense. What do you think? Will it work?
I mean, there is like parent, all over that. I mean, I don't know what you want to say.
We have Jesus. We got the parents. They're all coming after us.
Oh my God, dude! I don't even know, man.
Also, did you see Night Trip's podcast now has the #1 Oklahoma City podcast? Thanks to you and me, bro. Yeah.
Dude.
So continue to share the good news of the strippers down at Night Trips. It's important that people know
We've been throwing this out in almost every podcast about the Night Trips podcast. So you know what, Mark, what we need to do is why don't we just call Night Trips ourselves? Yeah. Or if there's somebody from Night Trips that's listening that wants to do a podcast with us, man, fuck yeah. We'll help you guys do a podcast. We love talking to strippers.
Yeah, and the thing about it is I think that whoever you had running the podcast last time thought like strippers were like a video game or something. He didn't really understand that strippers are people. Strippers are people, guys. And we can definitely talk to them like they're people.
Yeah. Strippers are not a piece of meat at all. You should not look at a stripper like a piece of meat.
Speaking of pieces of meat, bro, I noticed that out in Oklahoma City, there was the spill over on I-40 near Kilpatrick Turnpike of apparently, dildos and lube, bro. Yeah, you see that one, but it looked like one truck hit the lube and slid, like did a and crashed just because of the lube.
Dude, you had the lube out there, and then like the guy that's reporting it from the helicopter, right? Yeah, I love his opening line to the whole scene. That's right, Lisa. There's a semi that turned over and it lost its load.
Lost the load.
What other it's a bunch of dildos and lube on the highway. It's the perfect way to describe that.
Can you tell me what it is? And he just didn't answer. He's like, I don't know if I can.
We'll go ahead and zoom it up and let you guys decide.
Let me zoom in and see if you can tell what it is.
Can you see what that guy's carrying down there?
Oh my God, dude.
He's carrying a 12-inch dildo.
Look it up on Twitter, everybody. Look it up on Twitter. There's a giant load all over I-40.
Morgan and I-40.
Morgan and I-40. Kilpatrick Turnpike region. Good times. I'm glad that, that there's free dildos on the highway for anybody who wants to stop.
There's going to be a massive sale on dildos and lube coming up. A semi-sale.
It has a little bit of a highway streak on it, but that's clean.
Got a little streak on that one. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's on Twitter. It's all over the place. And you can tell once they zoom up, Mark.
Yeah.
Like the light bulbs went off to the people that were on the show. And they're like immediately like, oh, man, this is going to be shown like 1 million times online. Like they knew it immediately. Like, they go, whoa, we're going to be famous. Famous. What else is it? Can you see what that is? And quiet. Well, that looks like, that looks like, I can't tell what that is. Can you tell? I can't tell what that is.
And the funny thing is,
I'm not saying it.
Obviously, they all are experts in this. They're all deviants. They're all like, yes, I just got slapped with one of those last night, but I don't know what that is.
Oh my God. Yes.
You are supposed to slap each other with them, right?
Man. What a day, man. What else is going on with you up there?
Oh, man. Just trying to stay at it, bro. Like, putting up a new show. That's been a lot of fun. Watching it, take off a little bit. Didn't expect that.
Did not expect that. That was kind of crazy. Like, at first, when we put it out there, no bullshit sports, whatever, that was wrong. We shouldn't have used bullshit in the keyword there.
Dude, but everybody else does it.
I know.
How come we're getting flagged?
Because, we've got some loyal fans out there that don't like to see us use bad words. Anyways, so the fact is that no offense sports. I can't talk.
No offense.
All fucked.
I always say
no offense sports, man.
But yeah,
this is something that we can really focus on, just talking about what we want to talk about. With the Oklahoma City Thunder one, we like to keep it as close to R as possible, like rated R as possible. Like, we'll go over the line, step over the line a few times, but this other no offense sports is 100 times better because we're just ourselves talking and being the way we are. And I think that's the coolest thing about it.
Plus, we mixed in some draft profiles. So we did a great draft profile.
Well, that's who we are, though. We love to break down draft players. I mean, that's it. Like whether it's NBA or NFL or MLB. I mean, fuck, we even like to, when it comes to European leagues and looking into the minor systems and European leagues for football. These are the things that we like to see. Like soccer for you Americans. But those are the things that we like to break down. We like to see how teams are developing young players, how young players are coming up. We don't want to hear about Lionel Messi after he's been in the league for 5 years. Like, we want to know about the second he breaks through when he's 18 years old.
15 years.
Like, those are the things that we really pride ourselves in. So, yeah, when it comes down to it, you know, Mark and I, we love to break down young athletes and making sure, like, we see what is so special about them, because if they do break through and they do, you know, are amazing, then things are great. And I remember the first 2 athletes I broke down. I was still in high school and I was graduating high school, but it was 2003. And I was watching, oh man, who was it that LeBron played for?
St. Vincent St. Mary's was playing Oak Hill, or whatever that game.
I'm watching them play, and there was a tournament on ESPN, and
Oak Hill must have been the
Oak
game.
Hill, yeah. It was actually 3 games that we saw on TV. Anyways, I had the old recorder that was attached to my TV, and I recorded all 3 games, right? And then I went to the Syracuse games, right? Because they're in the well, at the time they're in the Sweet 16, and I was like, I had already watched some Carmelo games, and I, you know, broke them both down.
Yo,
and
so
I remember writing on a piece of paper.
LeBron in high school in that game, dude.
What's that?
Did LeBron and Melo play against each other in high school?
No. Melo was at Syracuse University his freshman year. He won the championship that year. LeBron was in high school.
You're good.
So anyway, so I just spent time and I broke them both down, and like I remember just being like, holy shit, like. Maybe the fact is that I'm just too lenient on this, but I was like, I feel like LeBron's going to be one of the greatest players of all time. And I remember telling that to some people, and they just fucking made fun of me. Like, dude, LeBron's a pansy. Like, he's never going to win a championship. You know, like, people were vocal about that shit back then. And I remember being like, I don't know, man. I feel like LeBron's special. And then the Carmelo one, I was like, I felt like Carmelo was a better scorer. Hands down better scorer coming out of college. And I was like, to me, like, Carmelo is one of those guys that, like, should have gotten number 2.
Well, of course.
Should have been 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You know, like, hands down, like, Carmelo was one of those guys that I looked at and I was like, this guy is going to be in the league a long time. And if he had stayed at Denver, I don't know how much better of a career he would have had. But to me, like, there's players like Allen Iverson and Carmelo and some guys like that don't commit to staying in one city. And because of that, in a way, their legacy is shit on, you know?
Right.
Like, I would have loved to see these guys, you know, like Allen Iverson and Carmelo be able to stay in one city the entire careers, because we would have been seeing them break records like crazy, because they would have never, you know, gone to the bench or anything else like that, you know? And that's what I kind of look at, is that these things are kind of suck, but those are the 2 first guys I broke down personally. And after that, I was like, man, I'm hooked on this. But, you know, I took a couple years off just because I was, you know, exploring the world type thing and being in the military. But it was weird because, like, every single time I would still turn on a basketball game, I would break down someone's game in my head. You're like, oh man, he shouldn't have done that crossover. He should have passed the ball. He should have done this. He should, you know, like, and without ever, you know, changing everything. So the fact is that now we have a platform that we can actually break down players. We did a lot of it that this year with the NBA draft, but it's kind of even more fun to be able to do it for next year, because ahead of the game is always good.
Yeah, and yesterday we took some time and broke down Cam Whitmore, Villanova recruit, getting ready to start his freshman year, and that was a good one. I mentioned Scoot Henderson. He's a guy that's playing for the G League Ignite. He played last year, so 2 years at the Ignite, you know, to qualify for the draft is the first I've heard of anybody doing that. So he's got great game. Cam, you know, definitely has, you know, an elite talent and ability and athleticism. And we're going to continue to look for it. Dave, you sent me the name of somebody that we're going to do on the next podcast coming up. That'll be sooner than later. But let's see, bro. It's on here in our messages. 3, 2, 1. I forgot, bro. I don't
Nick
see
Smith,
it right
man.
here.
Nick Smith.
Nick Smith, dude.
So,
I have not watched Nick Smith play. So
he's a freshman going into Arkansas.
Okay.
So
all right, dude.
Listen, man. I wanted to stick with, you picked Villanova, right?
Right.
And we have a player from Villanova on our team. Okay. So I was like looking at the draft board and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 2 players in the top 5 that are from Arkansas. So why not break down at least one of them? Because we have a player from where? Arkansas. Okay. Right. And then there's players from Kentucky. Guess what? We got players from Kentucky. So we're going to break down these guys as we go. And it's going to be fun because, again, this podcast is all about a good time.
For sure. So join us for No Offense Sports. We're going to be doing that, breakdown as we go. Definitely something we enjoy. We've been talking a lot about NFL, talking a lot about MLB, and as the NBA gears up, obviously, that's going to be the primary thing we like talking about because that's what we're good at, man. Like, that's definitely what I feel like. I know I enjoy baseball. I definitely enjoy baseball. And football, I'm so glad it's back, dude. We talked about OU all day long. And we did. We talked about that game quite a bit, and we're looking forward to it.
Because we talked about like back in 2001 or 2002 when
I think it was 2000, right?
Nebraska.
2001, right? Yeah, we tore down the goalpost, bro.
Yeah, we were you were part of that. I was not. I was there when Dad came home and saw Rob's vehicle with
Huck the Fuskers.
Huck the Fuckers. Fuskers. Huck, whatever it was. Anyways.
Fuck the Huskers or something. Huck the Huskers. Yeah.
But Dad was like, what did you put on your car? And we were a really strict family. And I remember Rob had to go out there and scratch off his car because Dad was pissed that he even drove in that. Huck the Fuskers.
Yeah, dude. Those were the days, dude. And back when we felt like beating Nebraska was an accomplishment, dude. But now, like, Nebraska can't get past himself. I noticed they just fired their coach, Scott Frost or whatever his name is. Yeah. So that's interesting. I like
Frost. He's a good dude.
Yeah, not a good coach, but we'll move forward on that one.
Well, he's a good coach at Central Florida.
Well, yeah, I mean, but not at Nebraska. So.
Not his alma mater.
But so let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the basketball world. We've managed to talk about just about everything else, but when it comes down to the Thunder, bro, I'm starting to notice a lot of people are starting to skip this season and start eyeballing that draft already, which is fine. That's what they did the last 2 seasons. In fact, if you want to think about it, they did it actually the year that we ended up keeping Chris Paul. A lot of people were like, I don't want this team. I just want to burn it down. And they didn't want to watch that team. And so then they ended up missing a really good playoff series against the Rockets. But here we are, 2 years into the rebuild, and people are, only looking at that. But all this video, dude, of the Thunder players working out together, all this, it makes me think this team is not going to lay down and just accept, well, we don't have Chet, so we're going to just take it in the chin.
Fuck no, they're not. They're not going to let other teams rub their bellies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what all the Thunder fans and experts want.
Let's just go through this real quickly. All right. 2020, 2021, Shea played 35 games. Dort played 52 games. Baisley played 55 games. All right.
Mm-hmm.
2021, 2022. Let's go through this. Shea played 56 games. Dort played 51. And Baisley played 69. Let's throw in Josh Giddey. He played 54 games, right?
Uh-huh.
These guys are ready to fucking go, man. Yeah. They're not ready to lay down and be like, hey, no. Listen, Shea's played 1 full season in the last 2 seasons. All right? He's ready to play a full season. He's healthy. He's ready to go. Have you seen how thick Dort looks out there against?
Looks good, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, these guys are ready. So we can push this any other way. Listen, we don't want anybody leaving this team at all. I really hope that the commissioner allows us to get that extra player on the team so that we only see one player go. Because, listen, my favorite player on this team, or one of my favorite players, or let's just say favorite, bottom 5 guys on the team.
Right.
Because all my guys are favorites, right?
Right.
But bottom 5 guys on the team is Lindy Waters.
All right.
I want to see Lindy Waters on this team so fucking bad. And I just have faith that Lindy Waters is going to figure some shit out in his life and how to play in the NBA, He's a phenomenal person. He's a phenomenal athlete. He makes me excited the way he plays the game. And I keep on thinking these guys that are undrafted players that we see come through the league a lot, especially on this team. We have a ton of these undrafted players on this team. These are the heart of the NBA. And when you have guys like Lindy Waters and Kendrick Williams and Dort and so on and so forth, man, these are the guys that you need to see on your team, that they have an opportunity to grow and get second contracts. It gives people hope. And it makes it so that when Sam Presti goes and says, this is the best player that was undrafted in 2023 or 2024, I'm going to go after him. He's not going to go and say, well, the Lakers are offering me a deal. He's going to be like, Sam Presti offered me a deal. Fuck yeah, I'm all in. You know, I've seen how he's dealt with this player and this player and this player. I see how he's handled all of these guys. Like, these guys are going to go all in. And that's what gets me excited, is that here's another opportunity for another player. And listen, Lindy Waters has been working out hard. He looks chiseled. I saw some videos of him shooting with his cornrows and driving to the hole. He looks like he's ready to go. So for me, I see this and I get excited. But like, all right, let me ask you this, Mark. Bottom 7 guys, who's your favorite out of the bottom 7?
The guy I can't let go of, to me, is Vit Krejci.
Yeah,
I think
nice.
Vit and also Teo, like, there's a lot of like talk where people are just like done with these guys because they haven't like performed on their timeline, but neither one of these guys, for different reasons, were on like a timeline that like the clock was ticking when they arrived. Like, it's a long haul type thing when you draft a player like Vit who had a ACL tear. And similar with Teo, when you draft a player that's 19, you know, you're not expecting them to, you know, at 21 be the player that they will be at 25. So True. I just feel like those guys for me, but if I had to pick one, right, I think I'd go with Vit.
Vit, okay, all right. Let me ask you this now. From the videos that we've watched, now we've watched probably a few hours of the workouts that they've done this summer. Who's the best shooter on the team?
You tell me who you think.
Tre Mann, man.
Yeah, the Tre Mann,
yeah.
Man.
Dude, have you seen how wet his shot? It's like drip, like in the hoop. Barely touches the net every single time, man. Yeah. I have not seen a better shot from a young player that we've had on our team ever. I mean, this young man has one of the quickest releases.
He's streaky, though.
What?
We know he's streaky. He can be streaky.
But here's the thing, though, about with streaky players, man. Streaky players, right? When they're on, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
And that's the type of player that we need. We don't need somebody to go out there and score 25 points a game. We need somebody to go out there when we're having a hard time scoring and put up 30 points. And that's something Tre Mann will do.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And he passes the ball so well. His no-look passes, like, he does this no-look pass where he's just like, shh, and just kind of like walks away.
Yeah.
It's sick, bro. Like, he understands the game. And I think with Sam Presti, when Sam Presti drafted him, just like with every player, is that you're like, this is the player I think he can be, and this is the player he is now. Mm-hmm. And that usually is a massive gap.
Yeah.
And the fact is that when we first drafted him, you know, he had to take some time off to deal with family issues. And that's nothing on him at all. That's just because some players aren't necessarily ready to switch over, or they're forced to go into the NBA. Could Tre Mann have been a top 5 pick, a top 7 pick the following year? Maybe.
Yeah.
But because of family issues, he could have been, I need this money. I got to get in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's the case, then yeah, Sam Presti picked this up, you know, for a stash player, and that stash player could come back and be a big time this year. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I think he's got that ability. You know, we saw glimpses, and then we saw like we saw glimpses of like his athleticism. But then there's like this thing about Tre where like it's very rare where he unleashes his peak athleticism. And like I know he can shoot the ball, but I'm wondering, is that going to be a similar thing where you're like looking back and you're like, why is it that we only see these glimpses in warm-ups or in practice or in scrimmages? You know, we've seen him in games, but he's got to string together these, you know, good games and these good runs. But if he can, and he showed the ability to have those, which is a much harder thing to do than, you know, be consistent, you know, getting to that height of, you know, like 25 points, you know, knocking down shots, and then coming back and getting in the lab and saying, how am I going to turn this into a regular performance? Or, you know, at least getting up to 18, 19 points a game would be quite an accomplishment for a player like him. So
yeah, man,
I'm looking forward to it, dude. I wonder for him, when I think about Tre, I wonder what his own expectations for himself are, you know?
Yeah, dude. Let's talk about weight for a second. I'm a fat dude, so I love talking about weight. But Osman Jang came in at 216 pounds.
Okay.
That's pretty big, man, because I think he came in the league at 195.
Yeah.
You have Lou Dort, 215 now. That's pretty cool, man. He's put some weight on. Can you guess what Josh Giddey weighs now?
215.
210.
210.
That's a great weight for him. I want to throw this out here. The last two guys I want to throw out here is Jeremiah Robinson Earl, JRE, and Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams weighs 240 and he's 6'10", and JRE weighs 230 and 6'9". I mean, to me, this is another like
some big boys.
Yeah, indication of why do we go out and get certain players? Why are we targeting certain type of style and big bodies and different things like that? It's simple, man. It's because in order to have a team that is able to run across the court and play multiple positions, you've got to have a big man, and whatever you want to say, whether that's Chet or that's Jalen Williams or JRE. Jalen Williams and JRE are the big men, are the future for us. So you have to have guys like that that can have that big body because, listen, Chet is going to need this guy that's going to be guarding him worn down a lot. And the only way to do that is by putting those bodies on those players on defense. It allows Chet to get a break and allows these guys to wear him down. And so when they go on offense, Thunder on offense, and their guys are playing defense, Chet is not going to have to deal with that body as much. So it's brilliant by Sam Presti to have those big bodies out there to absorb the contact, to absorb the physical play, to allow Chet, to allow all these other players that we have on the team not to have to do that. The same is with Dort. You know, that 6'3" stocky, he's going to bump, he's going to bruise you, he's going to make you feel like every single bump after the game. That wears you down. And that wears you down, so then when you're playing Josh or you're playing Shea, you're not as quick. You're not as fast. Listen, the way it's all done and designed by Coach D on the defensive end is truly spectacular. And watching how Sam Presti has put this team together so that these players have an opportunity to wear down the defense before they're even on defense is crazy, man.
Yeah, it is, dude. Really. And I think, like you're saying, having that balance and understanding, you know, like, just the fact that other people are going to have to push against a bigger body, you know, that's going to help give Chet more of what he wants. And we're not sure what that means. And for a whole year, we kind of have to put that on hold. I do wonder if he would be healthy if they try to look at him like around February and reevaluate it. I think he might be. But in the end, why rush him? But I could see a situation where he's out there scrimmaging with the guys on a regular basis, but not out there playing. And that would be really good, I think, for him to continue to improve, you know, get there, be on the bench and watch it and everything. But, yeah, when you think about these other guys, JRE, JWill, and then, you know, you could get into this other part of the rookie class like JDub, and it's really easy to get carried away because, like, we love these guys. They exceed our expectations for what we were expecting. Usman Jang, I mean, I think he's a bit better player than what we thought we could get at 12, especially the pre-draft process that he was following, you know, top 10 quite a bit. But the idea that we could leave the draft with two players that we considered in the top 10 plus Chet, like, that's crazy. So JDub and Jang, like that 1-2 combination at 11 and 12 for us gives us the player in JDub that we expect to go out there and play a lot right away. And then Jang that gives us that long-term project that, you know, Sam Presti loves.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, if you look at this team and every draft that he has, I feel like there's that one project player that he drafts, you know, just to see what he can do. Last year, I felt like that was Tre Mann, you know. I felt like early on, it was like, you know, let's go with Tre Mann. And I think that's another reason why he picked up Aaron Wiggins the very end of the draft. Like, he knew Aaron Wiggins was ready to play sooner. So, I don't know, man. Like, you got that second pick. I have always considered, if you have a top 10 pick and then you get a second pick, right? Mm-hmm. I've always considered that as being your project player, that second pick. Yeah. You know, that way you can focus on exactly what your team needs with that first pick. And just fortunate for us that we were able to get Osman Jang for that project player, followed by Jalen Williams, JDub, who's going to be playing immediately, like you said. Like, he's probably the most ready NBA prospect that's ready to play. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I would love it if he started. I mean, I would love the dynamics that he would bring if we started on the floor.
Let's think about it. Dude, you said the most ready, but I'm thinking he might be the most ready player that the Oklahoma City Thunder have ever drafted.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, KD came out pretty hard though.
But he was Seattle, so we got to give Seattle that.
Yeah, fuck KD and fuck Seattle. Double fuckery.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe JDub is really the most ready. I say that. No. Josh Giddey was. I mean, he was coming out playing 25 minutes a game, 30 minutes a game right away.
But we don't know. Like what I would say about JDub's game is, while Josh Giddey, he possessed like an elite ability to spread the ball around the court and passing. Like, I think JDub is probably a better defender. He's probably a better shooter. Well, I mean, that's going to have to be proven, but I think all the signs indicate to that. And on top of that, his experience, I think multiple years in college and stuff, kind of give him a better ability to read defenses. So we'll see, but it could be 1-2 for those guys for sure.
Who do you when it comes to, like, we're just talking about the way Josh Giddey passed. Man, I've seen some insane passes by him this summer. Is there another player? Like, I was watching, I went back and I was like, I want to find out, like, where he's imitated his game. I've heard him say this player, that player, but like, really find out like where his game comes from, right? Mm-hmm. So of course you go to people like Jason Kidd and Steve Nash and stuff like that, right? And I'm looking at him and I'm like, just not it. Yes, some, but no, not really.
Yeah.
Looked at Chris Paul, looked at some of the other better assist players in the league, and the person I kept going back to and watching their video is it's the like extra stuff, right? That White Chocolate used to do.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Jason Williams, the original Jason Williams, right?
That he used to do that. I look at Josh Giddey's game and I'm like, now Josh isn't quite with the extra flair that White Chocolate did. But I'm telling you guys, is the way that Josh's game is, it's like a mix of White Chocolate, Steve Nash, and Jason Kidd, and you could even throw in there a little bit of Chris Paul. I mean, that's the insanity of it, is like when you see a player that when it first comes out and you're scouting them and you're like, oh, this player reminds me of this player the most, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get an opportunity as time's going on and you're like watching this player and you're like, okay, where does this player imitate? Now, we got 54 games to watch him play last year, so we're able to really get an idea of what he was able to do. But when it comes to imitating, I was just sitting there going like, holy shit, like I can't say one point guard is the person that he looked. I mean, maybe he did look up to one point guard the most, but I can't look at one point guard and say that's the guy that he just, he copied his game off of. But what he did, I feel like, is that he took this from this player and this from this player and this from this player and the spin roll or the spin pass with a little bit of flair up from this player. And it's just like, Jesus. Yeah. Like, did we get a Swiss Army knife that's 6'9"? And I have to say, I really fucking think we did. And when push comes to shove, I don't think there's going to be another player like Josh Giddey for, another century.
Maybe, dude. Like
half a century. There we go. Because
the way he passes the ball, like, and I've said this a lot, so anybody who's been listening for a while knows what I'm talking about, but like the most important basketball pass in the modern game is the cross-court pass. And to be able to do it with like either hand and looking the other direction and have a pinpoint pass gives your teammates the extra half second to get their shot off. And like probably the best in the game right now with that pass is Luka, whereas like LeBron might be right there too. Like this is really close. And then you have Josh Giddey who comes in and he's got to polish off the rest of his game, but that part is not questioned by anybody. So yeah, I mean, we love to see him out there.
Well, Josh Giddey's not going to be one of those guys that puts up 20 points a game. That's not what he's going to be required to do. Like his stat line's going to look a lot like 15, 9, and 9, more than 24 and 4. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of player that we need. We need somebody be in there that's willing to do whatever it takes to get the team win, and that's what it's going to be required.
Honestly, bro, I could see him being a 20-10-10 guy. Like,
yeah, you're right. Later stage of his career, absolutely. Yeah. Like when I say later stage, like mid-20s, late 20s, I could see him doing something like that. Yeah, but I don't think Josh Giddey wants to be a 20-point player right now. I think he wants to see what these other guys can do. You know, like put JDub in the spots that he can. Put Kendrick Williams. Put, Dort and Shea. Get all these guys the ball as much as possible, because like score first guards, that's what I look at 20 points a game, or score first guards. We don't, as far as a point guard, I don't know if we need a score first point guard right now. Like what we need is somebody that's willing to dish the ball out for 15 assists a game, because Dort's going to need a ton of shots. Because I'm telling you guys, Dort's going to be a 20-point player a game this year. I mean, he's going to be a phenomenal athlete out there playing D up. I mean, he could end up being one of those guys that surprises people and ends up on like a NBA All-Team. Really, he could. And I know that some people are probably like, Dort, NBA All-Team. But if he's known as the best defender in the league and he puts up 20 points a game, I mean, what are you going to do? Say, well, Oklahoma City barely made the playoffs, so we're not going to give it to him? No, he's going to be considered one of the better players in this league. And then look at his contract and tell me that that's not a good contract.
Or if you listen to any of the other Thunder podcasts, they're going on media tours right now talking about how they expect to tank again. So we'll let them have that, and we'll do what we do, bro. We enjoy watching these young players grow into become like what they can be and grow into their own. And you know what? It's up to them. It's up to them to be like, we demand their respect. They have to go out there and earn it.
And we have players and ex-players, and, I feel like we can say it now since things have gone past, but, Isaiah Roby's family was incredibly generous to us, like always writing us and staying in contact with us.
Incredibly hurt by the other people, right?
Right? I mean, like, when Isaiah's dad first wrote us, and he was just like, you guys are on fire, and these other guys, I don't like how they trash the team, and then his brother wrote, which, Dom is an incredible artist. We really enjoy his music. He's taking a little bit of time off, he said right now, but I hope he doesn't take a lot of time off. Okay, Cool is by Dom Roby. Check it out, guys. It's really cool. But anyways, their family was just so incredible. And I to this day, I will always be grateful for that, because, they're the ones that really made us feel like we were welcome. And now we have other guys, our fathers and siblings that stay in contact with us on the team. Right. And it's good because we encourage these guys too, because it's not something that we go out and we're like, hey guys, like we knew what was happening with Isaiah before anybody else, but it's not our place to tell the story. It's not our place. We don't go out there and be like, hey, we know what's happening, because guess what? We were asked not to.
Yeah. I think early on, bro, we felt like when we started this, we felt like maybe our job was to be reporters or something. Right. But as we've built this community, like you said, of family members, of players, and we get some inside looks at what's going on between off-season workouts, and they tell us all this stuff, and they're like, they preface it with like, hey, don't tell anybody. We're like, all right, if that's the basis of us being able to like get a pipeline for inside information, fine,
we don't problem. Care. We don't care about the information and putting it out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just feel incredibly lucky if a player or a player's parents or a player's sibling reaches out and tells us something that nobody else has heard. It's like, I trust you guys. I think that you guys are good people, and,
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. I mean, we went at it because we felt like there needed to be a place that was not obsessed with losing, for Thunder fans. And it turned out to be a safe place for the players and their families. And now we're looking at it, bro, and we're like, hey, we've created this environment, and like it's been pretty awesome. It's a community of people, but at the same time, we feel like, our lives have been about so much more than just the Thunder. Like the Thunder is like the recent past for us. So
yeah,
this new venture we have where we're going out and we're talking about all the other sports, not very good at first, I'm sure. Like we're going to have to improve, but like anytime we see a story about a stripper, we make sure we bring that in too. So that definitely, increases the quality of our podcast. We know, nothing.
Dude, listen, we want to make sure everybody knows. All right. we are married to amazing women, all right, that let us be us. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's a lot of guys out there that are so whooped by their wives and their girlfriends and fiancés that they are literally having to change who they are. Our wives are like, hey, Dave, you should tell him about taking a dump in Lake Michigan. You know, Dave, you should, like, that's our wives. Like, our wives are encouraging us to be who we are, because I think they see, like, the humor in some of the stuff that we do. And they're like, hey, listen, that would be funny on a podcast. Or, some of our wives, they listen to different podcasts and they hear these stories of people and they're like, that's funny, but my husband has a funnier story. And like, Dave, you should do this. And like, to me, like, being who you are and having that opportunity to be who you are is pretty special. And I feel very lucky that, I'm married to a woman that is, she's a woman in a man's world kicking ass. We found out a week ago that my wife, she got moved up in promotion years by 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. Freaking baller. Like, she has an opportunity to get to a rank that, very few people have ever gotten to in the age of 30 years old, and then she has even better chance to get to another rank that no one's ever gotten to. I say no one, but like a handful of people have gotten to before 42. And she's just a spectacular person. And I'm proud of her. And I think this is one of those moments where, things work out. And because of Mark and I sitting down and talking to our wives about the podcast beforehand and really saying, listen, we're going to be like wearing underwear in public and we're going to be okay with that. My wife and your wife are probably in the beginning like, this is going to be fucking stupid. But the reality is that, like, what we do is we bullshit and we talk about sports, man, like, constantly. And if you're on one of our text message chains, man, it's all about that. Like, we're talking about stories that are funny to our friends. We are constantly, throwing things out there to talk about because that's who we are as people. Like, we aren't acting a certain way on a podcast and then turning around and being somebody completely different. Like, this is fucking us in the nude on a podcast. And that's why, to me, like, I look at it like, this is one of the best medicine I've ever had in my entire life, is to sit on the pod, talk to you, talk to the people that are listening, and really get out my feelings and frustrations and love for the game and different things like that. Like, it's passion. And I'm able to share that with everybody that listens. And there's no better or greater thing to be able to do than that. And Mark said earlier, when something that you enjoy so much, you get to do, and it doesn't even feel like work. Like, that's true. That's really what this is. Like, there's not one time that we get on this podcast that it's like, fuck, we got to get this on this podcast again. It's like, hey, how can we make this podcast better? Because it's you guys that we're excited about. It's the way that you guys have been for us and encouraging us and reaching out to us. And I mean, all the above. I mean, every single one of you, whether it's like a hateful, mean thing, or we said something pretty shitty about you or your friends and you're calling us out. We don't care. We like to interact with people. So thank you again for listening to The Last Storm. And we hope you guys take a listen to No Offense Sports. I get it. It's probably not your cup of tea if you listen to Oklahoma City Thunder podcasts, but it is our cup of tea, and we would love to share it with you guys.
Yes, and take a moment, listen to the Night Trips XXX podcast. Just type in OKC.
Rub your nipples while you're doing it.
It's the #1 podcast in Oklahoma City. It's important for us to keep that ranked high. When we found it, by the way, there's only 2 episodes. When we found it, it was like ranked number 50. But
50,
I just keep playing it and sending it to friends and being like, check it out. The last episode was produced like 10 years ago. So I know this is us, man. We're ranking this thing #1. We want Night Trips to come back with new episodes. We want them to be like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how do we have the #1 ranked podcast? We haven't done anything on it. And then if they produce new episodes, we're going to make sure we share those with you guys because we support the strippers. Like Nicki Minaj, we support the strippers. So thanks for joining us. We will see you on Monday.
Get it.